Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is yet another Monday, and this Monday is a little bit special for me because it's my birthday today, and I'll cry if I want to. But 63 doesn't feel remarkably different than 62. But at 63, I sure as hell don't want to take 62 more of those. Welcome to Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a year older, no wiser. I'm putting up the link right now on Facebook so that our, I'm putting it on Twitter. I'm so totally starched when it comes to social media, you know.
Very quick question. Will anybody still love you next year when you turn 64?
That's a really good question.
Your thoughts? Yeah, I deferred to Roxanne on that one.
That's something John Lennon didn't have to worry about.
Yeah, will anyone need you? Will anyone feed you?
So that's up, and now all I have to do is look at the my little chat, and there it is. The link. Thank you, Brian. We're so organized. And type the message. Oops.
We did it again.
Oops.
Oh, thank you, Brittany. Yeah. So where am I putting this anyway? Why is my
bum?
Yeah, where's my? Why is my?
Well, there's more innuendo than the Benny Hill program.
Where am I putting this?
And now for this episode of Dementia Radio.
Oh, that's Alzheimer's. That's not vascular dementia.
Bronk, you can break out the sax and give us a little boots.
Was that vascular da Gama?
Sailed the 7 seas.
I'm not allowed to play for 3 months.
All right, then there's the. I got so many things going at once. I'm just totally convoluted. All right, here's a question I wanted to start out the program with before we're going to give Rox her moment in the sun. And look out, this is really good. This is better than titanium, folks. And so that's saying, no, this it really is.
Is it better than the dolls, though?
No, the fucking dolls video is like the best. I mean, we'll show that. Get me the link to that, and we'll share that screen.
Hey, this show's had the Spinner Dave spin zone on it, so it's got to be better than that.
Yeah, it's like doll videos. I mean, I don't know what the hell that is. And at any rate, here's my question. So I don't want to get political with COVID anymore. I don't want to do that. I want to talk sports. All right. But I do want to ask one social question. That is the opening up of the country. I'm all fine with. That's fine. And I say, if you want to go to the beach, go to the beach. If you want to go to the store, go to the store. If you want to go to the mall, go to the mall. If you're young and you're strong and you're willing to take the risk of getting COVID-19, God bless you. That is your choice. All right. And if you want to go to a barber, if you want to go to a restaurant, if you want to go to a bar, I don't have a problem with it. Here's the deal. I'm not personally, would not be considered quite a risk factor, but yeah, I think that I'm close enough in age. Rox is a risk factor, okay? And so I look at this from two perspectives. There's the personal freedoms. So the argument of personal freedom is that you should be able to go where you want to go and do what you want to do. And I'm all for that. Go ahead and do it. However, I'm asking you guys if you would agree to something. And of course, if you agree to it, doesn't mean that it's going to happen. But I'm curious what your reaction is. There are only two places that Rox and I have to go. Okay? One is a grocery store and one is a pharmacy. All right, you need food to survive and you need your medications. That's just the facts. Is it possible that we could make it mandatory for people to wear masks in grocery stores and in pharmacies? We were just over at Whole Foods this last weekend. There's a guy in there coughing without a mask. I mean, literally coughing right around, the dairy section. And not as a legislative thing, but as a mandatory store thing, if you're not wearing a mask, you're not gonna shop at this store, kind of thing. Now, if they want to set up special higher COVID risk grocery stores, I suppose that could be worked out. But would you guys, who are really more on the Republican side of the aisle, do you think that's a reasonable request for people who are high risk people who have to shop for food and have to get their medications? We'll start with Rick.
I would kind of like to see them wearing a mask. I would go in with mine simply because of my age. I'm probably the highest risk of any of you all. And, the fact that they're opening up all the restaurants and this, that, and the other thing, that's fine. But in the back of my mind, I'm going to be looking at the numbers and just see if they take a little hike, if we're getting maybe a little bit ahead of ourselves and, opening up the doors maybe a tad too early. But I'm old. I'm trying to err on the side of caution.
Yeah, I think we are.
I'm trying to look out for me, and if that's selfish, so be it.
I didn't add that we wear masks and gloves and use hand sanitizer, so we don't take anything off the shelves with our bare hands.
Wear a level 3 hazmat suit.
No, I'm just telling you what we do. I mean, and because we're protecting ourselves. I don't rely on somebody else to protect me. I do everything proactively that I can do. So Brian, I'll throw it over to you. Do you think that is asking too much?
In the highest risk areas, I would say no. In low risk, low and super low risk areas, I would say, yeah, that doesn't really make any sense to do that, because you're not seeing the caseloads that you're seeing in, let's say, your county versus, the middle of Florida.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a social question. Cowabunga Bob there. What do you think on a social level? Do you think that if I'm willing to say, hey, look, you're younger, you're stronger, you have the right to go wherever you want to go, and that's fair and fine, I don't have that option because I'm a higher risk individual. What do you make of? Do you feel that there's a social responsibility for people maybe in a place where people who are higher risk people have to be to take extra caution?
Oh, I absolutely. But I liken it to two different laws that are actually on the books, that both of which don't necessarily, the person who is doing it or not doing it is more at risk. The first one is seatbelts. It is a federal law to wear a seatbelt. If you don't wear a seatbelt, you will get fined. However, if I'm not wearing a seatbelt, the only person it generally hurts is me, because I'm going through the windshield and I'll like it that way, whatever it is. However, the other one is, and particularly in Ohio, is smoking indoors. There is no smoking in group places in Ohio. It's a state law. It includes restaurants and bars, which, unless it's a smoke shop, you can't do it. And generally, the main person that's hurting is the one who's smoking, although it does affect other people. So putting some type of restriction in there is not horrifically bad. It's saying, especially if they give something to someone as they walk in and say, hey, look, if you didn't bring this in, this is our rules for this establishment. You know, you have
Brian,
to be 21 years old to go to a bar.
Brian, let me go one step further. When you go to the grocery store, how long does it take you to shop in the grocery store?
Generally speaking, when I do it, it's usually less than 7 minutes.
All right. So I mean, yeah, you're
I'm
not,
in and out like I'm in and out like two ducks. I don't futz around and wander around and all that crap.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: is my asking you for 7 minutes of a mask too much of an infringement for my and my girlfriend's safety?
Well, I'm not shopping at your particular grocery store, though.
I'm just talking. No, I'm talking about people who are.
If
If you can't
If you
answer that
have-
question,
if you
yes or
have
no,
any-
man.
If you have any kind of risk, you should be doing that.
Right. Well, the mask doesn't, my mask isn't going to protect me from everything. I know that, but somebody else can be helping this right along. At any rate, Tony, what do you think about this?
I have no problem with it as long as, I think the stores themselves should receive some sort of grant to be able to offer masks. We
got to have the supply.
Yeah.
You got to have that.
You can't force people to go spend their own money on a fucking mask if they don't want to.
I agree with that. I just like the sanitizer at Whole Foods. There's Publix down here. They don't have hand sanitizer. We won't shop there. Okay.
Right.
So yeah, there is, in order to be a responsible business too, there are rules that have to be obeyed, I think,
Well, like the local bashes that we they've had hand sanitizer because of different things being spread from the shopping carts for a couple of years now. I'd say going back to 2014, they've had that. So I mean, there's things that stores can do. Yes, if a store mandates it, then fine.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, you can't legislate.
But I don't want it coming from Doug Ducey or any other.
No. Yeah,
or even a mayor's office.
If the store doesn't do it, if the store doesn't do it, I won't shop there. They lose my business.
As long as it's coming from a business point of view. And this is what I was saying, trying to get through when you were talking about kvetching about the restaurants opening. You can have the wait staff all wearing masks and wearing gloves and not have a problem.
Well, I've changed my mind on all that. I'm all in favor of letting everybody go out and go where they want to go. I just recognize that I got to be in two places. And I think somebody's got to look out for the interests of the people also who are the 30% who are not protected and herd immunity or whatever the theory is. That somebody do something to at least make the two places we have to be a little safer. Count Tung, what do you have to say to the socialist bovine? Hold on, I'm trying to
yourself.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, ask me a really direct, specific question, because I could go on for a half hour about my experience the past two months.
I mean, do you think that it's fair that all grocery stores, and I'm not talking about legislation, but that from a social perspective, that all grocery stores and pharmacies should require people to wear masks because that's where everybody has to go who is the weakest link in the chain?
Okay, quick answer. I was in all the grocery stores here offer online delivery where they come to your house and deliver food. They also do a thing called click and collect where you do your online shop and then you drive your car to a checkpoint outside the store. They wheel out the goods, and then you put them in the car in your own bags. They do that, and then they still have grocery stores open. They have social distancing in which you are supposed to be 6 meters apart or 2 yard, whatever it is. I can't convert it on.
Okay,
but anyway, the question is, there's a security guard out front of every single grocery store enforcing the social distancing, but they're not enforcing wearing a mask. I think personally, I wear a mask when I'm outside because, funnily enough, I've had some issues. So I'm probably more at risk than any of you are right at this very moment. But within another month or so, once I recover, I may drop down that tier of hierarchy of risk. Let's hope so. But in this area, in my hospital trust, which includes Clacton, Colchester, and Ipswich, it's a population between about 500,000 people. Over 300 people have died in hospital. And then there's been the shitload of people die in care homes. My wife works in a mental health care home, which has not had COVID. They have very strict regulations. And but there's a care home just down the street from where she works that has had 4 deaths. So it's shit here. It's a hot spot. It's worse than any of the areas in which you guys live, except for maybe, I don't know, Franklin County could be just as bad. So
Okay,
you have to be careful here.
we're going to lighten this up. Rox, this is your moment. People know Rox from singing Titanium, for better or for worse. However, there is one thing that she does that is universally accepted by me as being really quite interesting, and that is an important scene from the movie Mommy Dearest. So if you've have people on the panel seen the movie?
No wire hangers.
Okay, good. Good.
It's more like a Joan Crawford.
Yeah, good. Rox, the floor is yours.
All right, I will be playing both Joan and Christina in this reenactment.
Oh.
Why did you deliberately embarrass me in front of a reporter? Why did you tell her I got expelled? Because you did. That is a lie. You love it, don't you? You love it, you. Joan! Barbara, please. Please, Barbara. Leave us alone, Barbara. Oh, this is wonderful. This is wonderful. You deliberately embarrassed me in front of a reporter. I told you how important this was to me. I told you. Why did you adopt me? What? Why did you adopt me? Because I wanted a child. Because I wanted someone to love. Don't you act for me. I want to know. Why did you adopt me? Maybe I did for a little extra publicity. No, that's not true. You know that's not true. Maybe just a little true. I'm almost done. I don't ask much for you, girl. Why can't you give me the respect that I'm entitled to? Why can't you treat me like I would be treated by any stranger on the street? Because I am not one of your fans. And then the strangulation occurs.
All right.
Thank you very much.
So, Brock, is this what your wife deals with every day?
Anybody who would memorize a script of that scene is tormented. Totally tormented.
Don't bother showing the Oscars. Just go ahead and mail the award to Rox.
I mean, it's like
Now you need
multiple
to do-
personality.
Now she needs to follow that up with Piranha Madonna going, I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille.
Oh my God.
And
All right.
we introduce a new character, Rihanna Iguana. There you go. For those of you that are tired of Madonna Piranha, we've got Rihanna Iguana.
Oh my God.
Eddie Haskell is dead. This is horrible. Eddie
Cleaver.
I'd like to thank the Academy.
Haskell dead at 76.
The gold calf.
Gee, Wally. I mean, and he ended up a policeman on a police force from the LAPD. Used to aggravate the hell out of people. At any rate, we'll be a little bit more sports oriented.
Yeah, he kept calling everybody Mrs. Cleaver, even when they weren't a woman.
You know what the best part of
they weren't
Believe It
wearing
to Be?
pearls.
Yeah, well, no. When Ward gave June Cleaver a pearl necklace, different era,
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
Billy Gibbons was writing his lyrics right then.
I hear Ward was hammered on set all the time.
Oh yeah, he was drunk. He was an alcoholic. Yeah, it's too bad. Now here's something that we're starting the sports part of the show, folks. Don't worry.
People weren't getting worried, though. They were getting genuinely worried.
Yeah, you are what you eat. All right. I mean, we are fed headlines. We are fed programming. We are fed everything. And now, poll, 73% of NBA fans believe Michael Jordan is superior to LeBron James as a player.
Oh, that's humorous.
I mean, but look at the timing of this, and it's like 600 NBA fans say that Jordan is superior overall to LeBron James. And the categories, get this. You want to hear what the categories are? 17.
Swimsuit.
Yeah, right. 17 specific questions. First, who has the better sneaker for fashion? What the
I'm gonna say
fuck?
top 6 answers on the board.
Yeah.
I'll take
Survey said.
lakes and rivers for 100, Alex.
Better sneaker to play basketball in. I mean, so take those 2 questions out. It has nothing to do with the players. Who would you pick for a game-winning shot? 76% said Jordan. All right. Who would come through in the clutch? 74 Jordan. Spectacular plays. 74% Jordan.
Well, that's
Better
wrong.
player
That's
overall.
bullshit.
73% Jordan. I mean, this
That's
is like
bullshit.
ridiculous.
Who is
With
ESPN
wit-
showing on TV the last 2 weeks?
Is
Jordan.
this like
Yeah.
the old election where you could just the paper ballot where you could just check at the top Republican or Democrat? Is that how this worked? And they just
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And who would win a one-on-one game? 67% Jordan. Oh, please!
get beat by 20.
I mean, this is the most ridiculous thing. But I thought that this was interesting only from the perspective that this is what happens. Poll these people a year or 2 from now when they've got something better to do than watch a stupid documentary. And what we end up with now are who are the biggest winners and losers from the Michael Jordan documentary? You know, it's like, how in the hell can you make more of a loser out of Jerry Krause and Jerry Reinsdorf? They've done nothing after he left. All right. So I knew that Jerry Reinsdorf and Jerry Krause, Jerry and Jerry, those 2 guys were losers, and it was Jordan who carried the franchise. I don't have to watch a 10-part docuseries to get that. All right. And who's the other winner? Any Michael Jordan memes. I don't care about memes. All right.
Well, according to the 2 guys on CBD, the biggest winner of the episode was Steve Kerr. So there
Yeah,
you
well,
go.
That was a nice story about his father and how he got killed by, Arabs over in Syria.
Lebanon. He
Or
was
Lebanon,
the,
yeah, not Syria.
He was
Beirut.
the head of the American University there.
the Lebanese did it.
Yeah.
I thought it was lesbians. I read that wrong.
Actually, it was the PLO. Yasser Arafat.
Let's be honest, it was the
Was that Jeff Lynn's PLO?
Yeah, Electric Light Orchestra.
And I was in Phoenix watching we were watching the ASU U of A game where the jackoffs were yellow and saying all kinds of shit to him.
So who are the biggest losers? Jordan's opponents. Look, I know Karl Malone and Stockton, those guys lost. I knew that. I didn't have to watch a 10-part series to remember that. All right. Winners, ESPN. No, they're not winners. They had nothing else to show, so they moved it up. And go back to the time when there was 3 TV networks. That's all there was to watch. Let's not forget that My Mother the Car got a 20% share. Fuck you in the mouth.
Oh, it's a great program.
Yeah.
See what their next special is going to be?
Jerry Van Dyke. How can you not love that?
Lance
Yeah,
Armstrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. When did you start doping? Yeah, like I want to watch that. It's the biggest loser, LeBron James. How does LeBron James become a loser after a 10-part series? I have no idea. The biggest winners, Jordan's teammates. Well, some of them anyway.
Not Dennis Rodman.
That's right. But the ones.
That's okay. He's got the 30 for 30 on the Bad Boys to make up for it.
Yeah, and who were the losers? Scottie Pippen for really getting down on Jerry Krause. Rodman.
He was having more of his migraine attack.
Yeah. But who really cares? And the biggest winner of all, Michael Jordan, of course, because what can I tell you? The great first comment in all the comments says, Jordan tricked us all into watching a 10-hour documentary about him sucking his own dick, quote unquote. And I couldn't agree more. So to hell with them. Then this question, will LeBron James ever get his version of The Last Dance? And you know, this really bothers the hell out of me too, because I want to point something out that is significant. Oh, here's Ziffles the pig. We'll let the piglet in here. 9 people.
Oh, piggy.
Yeah. Yeah. I heart pig. All
2
right.
shows in a row.
I love a bit of porcine goodness.
Nothing quite like a dramatic
Some kind of a pork
entrance.
product.
Yeah, well, I'll unmute him. I'll probably be sorry I did this. Well, he's not letting me unmute him, or it's not unmuting, or whatever it is. So I'm trying. Keep trying, Rox, to unmute the pig. He's using ManyCam or UCam or their cam or we all cam for ice
Somebody's
cream.
cam.
I think he's using MySpace.
Yeah, that's true.
Old school.
The reason that I don't care about documentary series like this is because if you are a Cleveland fan,
You hate
all right?
Michael Jordan.
Now, not only that, LeBron James did something that nobody did in Cleveland for 52 years. So it doesn't matter.
That'd be the only season I'd want to see a documentary on behind the scenes, anyways.
I mean, to be honest, if you're a Cleveland sports fan and you waited and waited and waited, and you went through the hype of this young man coming out of high school in Northeast Ohio, which a lot of us did, Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's, just up the road from where I grew up, and Akron St. Vincent St. Mary didn't exist. What was it? A compilation of Archbishop Hoban, and what was the other school?
Wow.
Hoban's still there.
Is
Hoban's still there.
Yeah.
So what was
Hoban's
what was
Heroes?
And so's Walsh.
St.
I'll look it
Vincent
up.
St. Mary's?
You are
was a-
right, though.
They had the female school that was Lady of the Elms. That was right there as well.
Yeah, I see. But St. V didn't exist when I was in Canton. But boy, I heard all this about this hype about this 16, 17-year-old kid. And to see it culminate in an NBA championship for the city that hadn't won in 52 years, I don't need a 10-part documentary to convince me who's better. And it doesn't even matter to me who's better. Quite honestly, for what I cheer for, LeBron James is the greatest player because of what he did.
There you go.
That makes sense.
Formed by the merger of St. Vincent and St. Mary High Schools. There you go, Moo. There's the answer.
They were not any kind of a sports power then, because I
Absolutely
graduated high school in '75, so they didn't end up doing anything.
And there you go. There's their championships.
Wow. The basketball really didn't take off until LeBron got there.
I live 10 miles from there.
There's some noted alumni.
Wow. How about that? That's cool.
Brian
Frank
Windhorst.
Stans.
Did you know Brian Windhorst went there?
No.
Look at that. See, you
Fat
learn
Jonah
things
Hill?
watching.
That's
You learn
cool.
things watching Moohead Radio.
Fat Jonah Hill.
There you
Hey,
go.
hey, look, Wendy was on my program. It was
He
really
was.
nice of him.
He's
to
a
come
He's a
on.
decent dude.
Yeah,
He's
he
a
is a
nice
good guy. He is a good guy, and he is taking
All right,
a
so
lot
stop
of
share?
flack. Stop share, yeah. A lot of flack that Brian Winters has taken, and it bothers me because, you know, all the references about his weight and this and that. I mean, he worked his ass off to get to where he is, and, you know, it's great. A guy works his way up from a small newspaper up to it, you know, to become.
He figuratively worked his ass off. He didn't actually. His ass is still there.
Well,
Still attached, yes.
The thing about Wendy that
Sorry.
people don't get is that, you know, he does have what we would call pre-existing medical conditions. His situation is not because he goes out and eats 75 cheeseburgers. And
Well,
I think
not
he's
like Tony the Calf over there that we can see looking at food.
you know, my
plates are in
feeling
order.
is he's just taking shit for no reason, but he made good. And why shouldn't we praise somebody who stepped up into the national spotlight? I think that's
Yeah, he got
out
out
of
of
Northeast
Cleveland.
Ohio and went national.
Winner.
And he didn't rely on LeBron's coattails either to do it,
No.
And I'm not making fun of Ali or any of the people who have gotten jobs with LeBron's help. You take a jump into a market, in broadcasting, when you take a jump into a market, you get an opportunity. But
You're saying he's no Sam Smith. I get it.
Yeah, but in the end, you'll never get me to say anything bad about somebody who took the time to be on a little Mickey Mouse program like this. And
he's on about 4 or 5 times at least.
Yeah, and
quite a few times.
Yeah, and the other thing is, who's the guy? Scott Rabb. Remember him?
Vaguely, yeah.
That's the guy who wrote all the nasty things about LeBron James, and then he appeared tearfully on the documentary.
30 for 30 guy, crying. Yeah.
Fuck him.
Yep.
He's the biggest cocksucker in the world. He said he was going to come on my program, and he didn't have the balls to stand up to the whole thing. He's a cocksucker and a prick. And not because he didn't show up to the program, but because of what he did in the documentary after he said that he wished that LeBron would rip his ACL out. I mean...
Okay, so Scott Rabb's here. Where's LaCharles Bentley on your hate list?
A totally unprofessional
Probably not in screen
person.
there, probably below screen.
Beneath contempt. I mean,
not
even
bring this up on the guy's birthday. I mean, that's not right, Bron.
Yeah,
no, but I mean, people should know.
Though.
People should know. I mean, when you reach out, I reached out to help LaCharles because he wanted to make a transfer into broadcasting, and I offered him.
The hoof.
Not only the hoof, but a piece of my server, all kinds of stuff to get him going on the air. And he writes me back saying, who in the fuck are you? And he was, because I'm not a professional athlete. I wasn't good enough. And, that's unfortunate. But people should know that about people, just like they should know when people are good people. The NFL is testing new protective face masks with surgical or N95 material. Now, this one I'm really wondering about. How is, modified face masks to protect themselves playing football? I mean, do you really think that people like James Harrison of that mindset wouldn't be spitting on people?
Oh, it's an accident waiting to happen. Somebody's going to start spitting on people. What if Roberto Alomar was still playing? I mean, what would happen then?
No, who was the guy who with the Browns? Was it Robert L. Jackson? Was that his name? The middle linebacker.
Samuel L. Jackson.
No.
Andrew Jackson.
Yeah.
Mahala Jackson.
Yeah.
Reggie Jackson.
There are snakes on
Action
his
Jackson.
offensive line.
Arnold Jackson.
There you go.
Jackson 5.
But do you think there's any reason for protective face masks with N95 material? I mean, it's just maybe just a little bit like a little over the top.
You know what? They won't have trouble hearing each other because there'll be no fans in the stadium, so there won't be any crowd noise to yell over. So they could have a face mask on and still do the signals, and everybody would still hear it.
That all sound like Samuel L. Jackson.
You had 3 sporting events this last weekend, actual UFC fights, where they had that same thing with no crowd, and it was kind of surreal because you could hear the corner people talking to their fighters. You could hear the referee telling them to, engage or move back or all the different things. It was really weird. It was something you normally don't hear.
I didn't see it.
For somebody like me, who's into it, it was better. There was no pump of the crowd though when there was a big play or a big hit or something or a big thing happened. There wasn't that big, where the crowd explodes. But then we also didn't have to hear them whistling and hooting and doing stupid ass stuff when they were doing something more technical. So it was different.
So I would probably think it would probably be like watching a junior high school wrestling match, where just mom and dads are there and, the referees and that's it, And
wait, there's recruiters at all those 4th grade matches. I'm telling you right now.
There are now. Back in my day, there weren't. But,
Now, here's
How
another
much time are you
thing.
guys spending at fourth grade wrestling matches? I'm just curious.
We were talking about people with pre-existing medical conditions.
And Ziffles popped in, so there you go.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
it only
swine
takes me
flu.
about 30 minutes to figure out how to join a Zoom meeting. But
Yeah, but now you know, yo
You need to
slick
change
blow.
your
No,
name, otherwise
still
you
don't.
get stalked.
still don't. Oh,
All
I
right,
get
well,
stuck.
it's just repetition, Piggy. Just repetition. Larry Nance Jr. of the Cavaliers has Crohn's disease, and he uses a
Well, give it back to
therapy.
him.
Yeah, no, but listen to this. He uses a therapy that has allowed him to have a successful basketball career, but it suppresses his immune system. He's saying, I hope that the NBA isn't going to get down on my case because he can't play. He won't be able to play. So there are people with legitimate pre-existing conditions. If you have a suppressed immune system, you can't go out there. Here's what Nance said. I hope there would be understanding from the league if someone just didn't feel comfortable coming back and that you get a pass. Just because you may look like the picture of health, some people have issues that you can't see. So, I mean, do you think that if that's the case, should the Cavaliers pay him or not? We'll go that route with this. Amsterdam, quit playing with your ceiling fan.
No, I was listening to Trump is taking hydroxychloroquine now on his own, so we can only hope. But
how about Comet? Oh, go ahead.
Should he get paid? I guess so.
All right, Rick, what do you think?
Oh, I think so. I mean, maybe they can work out some sort of agreement. It depends probably on, it'll probably get prorated based on how many games they're going to end up playing, if and when they even get this thing started. If I'm still trying to figure out why these teams that are pretty much eliminated from playoffs would even want to come back, unless, there's that much money involved, and then just start with a clean slate next year.
Yeah, Piglet, what do you think? Oh, Piggy.
Well, if you can help me sign into this on time, I'll give him 2/3 of what I make.
All right. Well,
where do I sign?
Yeah. Do you think we should pay him, Ziff?
Oh, yeah, of course. I think everybody should be paid for everything during this. This is nonsense. There's no, the greediness is what you would expect, but nobody knows what's going on. And of course they should be paid. They should all be paid whatever they can be paid. And if these teams fail because of it, and we all know they won't, who cares? I'm not worried about billionaires.
Hammer time?
I would liken it to being on injury reserve. I mean, really, he can't play because of the situation. That he goes on IR.
Does he get paid?
Oh, you get paid when you're on IR.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. All right. Bronk?
The question is, he should get paid. The question is whether Dan Gilbert has to pay him or whether the Cavs insurance for injuries pays out for this. That's the real question.
Yeah,
I would say that fuck Dan Gilbert, pay him anyway.
All right. Rox, what do you
Dan
think?
probably doesn't know what he's signing right now anyhow.
Exactly.
He has trouble signing it with his left side. Rox?
Yes, I think he should be paid.
Yeah, I mean, it's no fault of his own. He wants to play, I think, Tony.
I mean, yeah, you pay him. I think it's going to be a moot point in the long run because there's no fucking. Why would you bring back the season now? We're in the middle of May. The finals are set to end here in less than 30 days.
Now, on the other side of the extreme of this, a player who wants to play and but has a legitimate weakness, there's Blake Snell of the Tampa Bay Rays, who says he will not play the season for a reduced salary because the risk of contracting the virus is not worth it. He's voicing opposition to a proposed 50-50 revenue split with the players by the owners for a shortened season this year. but they would also, it would be strictly a profit basis that would be split and salaries would get dropped. Snell is scheduled to make $7 million next year. And he says that while he loves baseball to death, he's unwilling to accept reductions of his salary. Now, this is a little different. What do you do in a case like this? We'll go back around the other way, Tony.
Boy, he's got a legitimate gripe, but at the same time, get the fuck out there. You can play on a reduced salary. You don't have an underlying medical condition. You're completely healthy. You're not going to be playing in front of fans. Just shut up and play.
Rocks?
I believe that people should live up to their responsibilities, get out there and play.
I mean, yeah, it's really he seemed to have sabotaged his own case by saying, if I have to take a reduced salary, there's no fucking way I'm doing it. But if I get my $7 million, I'll do it. Bronk?
It looks like he's taking some sort of conscientious objector stance here from my point of view. And that's a tough way to go. I mean, you can agree with him that the risk is out there and that he could catch it. Or you could say he's putting himself in a precarious employment situation because if he refuses to play, not only will Tampa not play him next year, but maybe no other team will sign him. So he'll end up being baseball's Colin Kaepernick for very different reasons. If he
Yeah, I mean,
play.
he really has alienated a bunch of fans.
Exactly.
Jim, what do you think about this?
Well, I should have gone ahead. I with the last one, I should have done my John Malkovich, paid that man his money. But in this case, I would say no. There's a couple things. Supposedly, the Players Association also came into it. It was going to be like an 89 or an 86% profit switch. Their salaries were going to be about that high, and it just. The other thing is that I don't trust owners of sports teams when it comes to their books. Okay.
Right.
All shady as hell.
Newsflash.
It's all shady as hell.
Oh,
They all got accountants named Cohen. I'll show you where the profit is, and I don't know there.
We made 50 cents. That's it. 50 cents. You each get a nickel.
The profits all go to the Cayman Islands and to their Deutsche Bank account, and the losses all get written onto their returns.
Wow.
That's what's going to happen.
Rick, I mean, you're shaking your head. You're a baseball fan.
Yeah. Well, it's bottom line. It looks like it's an argument between millionaires and billionaires.
Yeah.
And the millionaires are concerned because they think that this setup that the billionaires, the owners, are trying to do is trying to install some sort of salary cap. And the players want absolutely nothing to do with the salary cap. Now, I think Snell can somehow get by on about $3 or $4 million this year. It's just a matter of,
There ain't no Cy Young Awards without a game. Go ahead, Bronk.
The right way for Snell to have gone about this would be not to go publicly directly as an individual, but to go through his fucking union and get the union to negotiate it with the ownership in a setup that already exists.
Right.
So he's kind of fucked himself there by not
selfish.
He could have worded his concerns a little bit more differently. The way he did it, it made it sound like he was, immediately on the defense and, the other side, no, this is what I'm going to do. But, if he'd have said it a little bit differently, says, let me explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. And if he'd have, taken it maybe step by step, it may have been received a little bit more kindly.
Brian?
The baseball salaries have just gotten so out of whack. And, to come off that way to people who are suddenly found themselves out of work and all this other stuff and having this, like Tony had to sign up for unemployment and things. So, sorry guys, you're gonna have to take a haircut just like the rest of the country.
Yeah, I mean, it's the unfortunate thing is there's only one golden rule, and that is he who has the gold makes the rules. That's the only golden rule that really exists. And the billionaires have the trump cards, no pun intended.
No pun. That's a bad cow pun. Bad cow pun.
Yeah, but no, it's bad cow pun.
Yeah, but okay, but there's been no revenue coming in for the last 2 months.
Who owes owners anything?
So how are they gonna pay a $250 million goddamn contract
Maybe
with
they're
no
not.
revenue?
Maybe they're not. Maybe their business will fail, and these guys are taking the same risk.
Well,
Why is it the performer's problem?
Doesn't this all roll back to what, like the folks from Dish Network talking about not wanting to pay ESPN's fees, which is really where a lot of this money comes from. Yeah.
It's about market value. So if you push them too hard, Blake Snell, they won't be there. But you have every right to push them. And if you don't want to do this, you're the guy they're coming out to see. Nobody's coming out to see the owner. I don't understand how fans do this populist bullshit thing where they jump on the billionaire owners. I'm not saying that it doesn't have to be a negotiation, but if some player who has a lot of money because he was fortunate enough to be really good at this decides, I'm not risking my life. I've got kids. I've got a wife. I've already got $5 million. Okay. You can ask him to come back, but you can't ask him to share your burden. Fuck you. You're an industrialist. You have billions. If you're not good enough, leave the business. I don't give a shit about what you want, but to make yourself, you have to take the risk. No, because nobody cares about you. They care about those guys. Those are Lady Gaga, all of them. And if they're not, they'll disappear, and they do. They disappear every year. So we look at them as some integrated thing of all the talent, but they go away. Blake Snell can go away 2 years from now. He's not going to have any more money.
And his career is a limited slice of that. An owner can be there for, until they say something racist.
Did you see what the Kansas City Royals were just sold for? Based on what? Amos Otis in 1975?
To get rewarded for that seems really peculiar.
Freddie Patek, and you know it.
It was funny. I was reading a headline that Bartolo Colon at 46
Was
years
Bob
of age.
Boone on that team?
Yep.
Daniel Boone.
Bartolo wants to come back and play one more year of Major League Baseball at 46
Of course he does. Of course.
And they asked him where he wants to be, and he goes, the Mets. Why, of course. I mean, what other sad sack organization is gonna
How the hell are we on the side of the Dolans?
Exactly. God damn it.
Are you insane?
No, I'm not on the side of the Dolans. It's like they're the ones who are trying to save money, and they're the reasons we never win in Cleveland. God damn it!
There you go, Tiger. There you go. Mark.
I can say all kinds of things about Dan Gilbert that personally not my cup of tea. However, he did spend the big bucks to get the championship to Cleveland. That's right. So I mean, you got if you're going to play the game. There are rules of the game, and part of it is the reason you're one of the 30-odd people who own a franchise is because you have that kind of money.
Yeah, but Mark, if I had that kind of money, I can't own a team in Cleveland. That's the problem. I can't compete with you. If you own that team, you can be a cheap dick, and I can't compete with you. I don't give a shit about owners. Owning is a great thing. It's a wonderful thing. Keep doing it. Do as best you can, but when you suck, then you go, or the fan base makes you go because you suck, and you get a fantastic profit on the way out. I don't give a shit. If Blake Snell wants to be paid for taking a risk, Blake Snell should be paid exactly as much as he can get.
Yeah, I mean, there's no argument for me on that. I just think that, boy, he kind of sabotaged himself in the public court of
course,
appeals.
but why is the public court so happy to help the billionaires? That's
Because
if I'm making a point.
the fact is the billionaires are the ones who control the game
And the media.
and the media.
And politics and our lives, and who the fuck cares?
That's right. But I'm telling you, people fear losing their jobs because corporations are just randomly cutting out jobs so that they can have a better stock value. That's just so people, the fans, anything that's going to take their game away from them, they're going to see that as an obstacle. And unfortunately, the fans only care about sitting on their asses, watching the games, and shelling out whatever coin there is to these barons who are not even applicable to the antitrust laws because of Judge Landis's ruling back in the Ice Age.
Well, thank you for giving the perspective, but I may have misunderstood you, because I understand that George W. Bush was only reelected because some Saudis ran some planes into a building. I get what you're saying about populism, but I'm just wondering, it was a smaller point for me in this time where we have no sports and we're talking about sports fans. Why are they trying to protect individual owners? Who the fuck cares?
No, because a lot, it is an issue.
When you don't have any money, you can't afford $95 fucking for a game day ticket. That's the point.
It's a wonderful point.
Why is that? Paying $800 million fucking salary.
Why is that attached
to jack fuck living in a $20 million fucking goddamn mansion, driving a fucking $800,000 car,
so why is
wearing $7,000 fucking shoes?
I hear you. Why is that attached to an individual owner? Why does some member of the douchebag New York family that owns the Mets and the Cavs, why did they need to be the guy who owns it? There's lots of there's money circulates. So why do we need to protect those idiots?
It's not about protecting them. Who is protecting them?
I'm not saying, I'm saying why is it the individual owner that you're protecting, you're defending, or promoting?
Well, I'm not defending the fucking owners. I'm defending the fans.
Okay.
Do you understand?
No, I don't. I do
my
not
perspective?
understand what you're saying. No, I don't. So explain it.
Okay. The fans we have just had 32 million fucking people sign up for unemployment.
Yeah,
okay?
no, I get the.
These are the people who fill the who buy the tickets and buy the merchandise and buy all this shit.
Okay, all right.
Who support the teams, who pay for the parking, who pay for the concessions.
You and I are absolutely understanding. I get it.
Okay. These are the people that I'm saying, he's coming off as a total douchebag because he's already in the 0.1% of a fucking America.
And so is his owner.
Right. But
his owner is trying to get him.
There's 32 owners. There's 25.
Wait, just a second. Just let me say it. I'll let it go really quickly. But the CBA, he's saying, I want to try for a temporary salary cap. Why would that player bear that burden more than that billionaire owner who everybody, I got you completely. I understand. We got to get people back to the games, and we don't want to hurt the people who don't deserve to be hurt. But why is Blake Snell supposed to make a sacrifice as opposed to Blake Snell's owner? That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, Blake Snell's owner has already been taking it in the ass because there hasn't been any game.
Really?
Yeah, there hasn't been any fucking game.
Real?
There's no game. There's no
I know.
concessions. There's
I
no
know.
parking.
I
There's
know.
no merchandise sales have tanked across the board. Look at it. The Browns are just
No,
now.
it's excellent.
The Browns had to go change their fucking uniforms back to something decent in order for them to start making money again. Okay, so
Brian,
if there's no, but I'm not
go ahead.
defending.
Go ahead.
I'm really not defending the owners here because there's only 32 of them.
Yeah, Ziff, let me interject. I think what Ziff is saying is, in a capitalistic sense, in a truly, purely capitalistic sense, a person like Dolan, who has become the laughingstock of the NBA to the point where, I mean, literally draft day has become like the death of New York every year because he always picks the wrong people. And the team just blows. And the fucking Nets in Brooklyn have surpassed the Knicks, and the Knicks have just become this forlorn team. I think what Ziff is saying is, shouldn't there be a better owner of that franchise? That we find out that JCPenney is closing 30% of its stores. In a real world sense, if somebody can't compete in the marketplace, they have to get out of the road. They either go out of business or they have to sell to somebody who makes a better mousetrap. I made my living by buying radio stations from people who tanked them, and I turned them around. So I'm entitled to make money because I turned them around. The guy who tanked them just sold them for whatever he could sell them for.
That last part is the point, though. That last part.
The owners, new ownership has to be approved by the remaining owners. You can't just open market sell the team.
But the question remains that the fans.
That's the point. It's not capitalism then.
Now, that's right. The fans. Let me finish. The fans in New York, if they're going to watch NBA basketball, they either get the ticket and cheer for the Lakers because they're winning now, or they have to sit there like Stephen A. Smith or whomever or Spike Lee and literally hate on the Knicks because it's so frustrating that they don't even want to watch them anymore. Wouldn't it be better if, just like when the Indians sold to Dick Jacobs, they became a competitive baseball team. And then when Dolan took the team over, they just tanked the thing and just dropped the payroll down. I can't say that the Tampa Bay Rays have done anything except pay players as little as they can pay them. They're none too pleased that Blake Snell is not going to get $7 million because they're not going to keep him for very long. They don't keep anybody who makes that money for very long. My feeling, if you're not in it to win it, why should you be floated by other owners within the league to keep that franchise when the fans are getting screwed paying money for a losing situation so that Dolan can be a fat hog and live a robust lifestyle with being thoroughly unsuccessful at his business? That speaks against every rule of capitalism.
Right.
Every.
Do you remember when they got rid of the Clippers owner?
Yeah, but why?
They all had to vote unanimously to get rid of him and take the franchise away from him.
That was brand, Brian. You know that. They were just.
It's a brand decision.
Making everybody feel good about the brand. And it was good.
Right, but it still required a unanimous vote by all of the owners.
Yeah, well, that's not capitalism.
Now let's go. Jesus Christ, man!
No, let's not make it.
They're not allowed to be. It's not true free market. Well, in the NBA, the players control the fucking market.
Well, can I? Let me ask you this.
Now,
One question. Wait. One question. No. You let me.
Because
my program, I speak. Okay.
Fine. Go ahead. Jesus Christ.
Thank you. All right.
For fuck's sake, Mark Steenberger.
Mark.
The great pontificator must expose himself.
Okay.
He's also kind of cute.
Thank you.
He's sexy in a cow-like way.
The bottom line to me is The fans
Rocks
deserve a
themselves.
winning product. And why should we let owners vote on this? Because they want to keep a weak sister in their conference. I mean, how does that? I mean, wouldn't everybody want their competition to be the lamest it could be? How can they be the ones voting on it? It's an unsuccessful franchise by all conceivable definitions.
The
How
only
about-
the
and
only
you know what?
team that in professional sports that is owned by the fans is the Green Bay Packers.
Mhm.
That's it. That's the only one in any
That was
major
kind of a
sport
weird-
that is owned
It's
owned
not
That's the only
strictly
thing you
by
can
the
own,
fans.
own in Green Bay.
In America.
Okay, so you
Mark,
can't adopt that model all across the league. It doesn't fucking work.
how about this? How about if someone suggested that a former minority owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers would become the owner of the Browns and they would pair him with Mike Lombardi, even though that seemed kind of crazy. And then, nah, that would never happen. Never mind. Go ahead.
Never mind. Yeah, you're really
All right, now
blowing
let
this
me
up.
make
in this-
let me make get into the real heart of what I was attacking Ziff on.
It was Obama's
Do you
fault. Go ahead.
understand?
I know it was Obama.
Do you
Attacking
understand
Ziff?
how?
And-
Do you
and
understand how
females.
players are paid?
I really want you all to get gay married. And
Do you
I
do you
need-
understand? Do you understand how players are paid? They're paid on a per game basis.
Well, he's got me there, Tiger.
Okay, so if you're
With
going
a-
to if you're
with-
going to contract a season, why then? If and players are paid on a per game season, why then would you not expect them to be a protracted
Well, it's well put. And I
Makes
would
makes
say
logical sense. The
you need to
thing
just stretch a little bit. Just get flexible. Just
it
you
makes
know,
logical
like ramp
sense.
up.
The
What?
the thing
They're
about it
still
is that-
he's
yeah.
still going to make the rate that the $7 million over however many was this baseball? You were bouncing
162,
between
right.
baseball and basketball. One is 82 games, the other one's 162. If it's $7 million over 162 games, why then wouldn't you have just say, okay, you're going to make 82 games this of your game salary?
But see, what the owners are proposing, Brian, is less than that. What they're saying is we're only going to give you half of what the profit is, and then they're going to be doing that. I'm going to liken this to when I'm dealing with a youth sports player and they're wearing earrings, and our rules say that you can't wear earrings. And I will go to their coach and remind them that their player cannot play with earrings in. I can't tell you to take them out. However, she can't play with them in. And this is kind of what we're saying. These are the rules we're going to have you play by. If you don't want to play by them, you can't play. But if you play by them, you're allowed to. You can make that decision. And this is what he's doing in this case. He's making that decision in his own best interest, at least the way he
But
feels.
he's also a member of a union. He needs to keep his fucking mouth shut.
I mean, if he smart,
I mean, that's who represents you. You can't. You know,
Exactly.
I mean, that's just the
Well,
gig
see,
in
and
the union.
Borg, say something dramatic.
I'm all out of drama. Maybe we should have Rox do something dramatic because she's better at it than I am.
Much prettier than Borg. Just barely, but prettier.
She didn't have to say a thing. She's already won her award. She's got
Well,
her.
it's after 7 o'clock. Stop the share here, and
No. No, I must. No, okay. Go ahead.
you're going to force me to stay here.
Time for everybody to
It's your
sing.
birthday. You can
I
your punishment.
love you so much.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday, dear
Mr. Moohead.
Happy birthday to you.
Social distance.
Who can not give you Crohn's disease?
Kiss the hoof. Kiss the hoof. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this
Love you,
edition
Mo.
of Foo Head Radio. This was fun. We'll have more lively discussions like this now that the sports season is picking back up. And everybody stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy yourselves. And thanks for tuning in. Until
Sorry
next
about
time.
the plague, girls.
Hasta la vista, past your heads. Good night.